G'day friends, welcome to day 19 of Inktober 2017. I've got a swatch doll for you today. Shock horror. She's a little more detailed than the ones that I've been doing. I went a little nuts with the detail in this one, but all for, it was all for a good cause. I've drawn some birds as well, which is so unlike me. I never draw animals. But I've called this piece We Flock Together, and today I just wanted to steal 15 minutes of your time and just get a touch serious. Now, I'm not about to, lay down some home truths for anybody. I want to talk about your creative voice and what it means to share that on social media. Yesterday I came across a post that was very, very eye-opening, and it really sent me into like a deep trance of thought, which is also very unlike me. I like to be very simple all the time. But I really got to thinking, like sharing your creative voice on social media is such a scary thing for a lot of people, and I take for granted that I don't find it that scary. But I do want to talk about some of my own experiences and some of the ways that I feel about it, and hopefully encourage you if you're struggling with that, or if you're going through it and you're feeling like you're being discouraged from sharing. I want to talk to you as well, and for anyone that just is curious to listen, these are just my personal experiences and my opinions. So I've called the piece We Flock Together. I think everyone has a creative voice. I think your creative voice is an amazing communication tool because it says as much to people about you as your physical appearance does. I mean, everyone's got an imagination, and the way you choose to express that can really attract people. It can be quite magnetic. So I think sharing your creative voice is such a great thing to do, but in this modern day of social media, it can be a little scary to start sharing. I mean, there are internet trolls out there. There's a lot of computer courage that flies around. I mean, there's a lot of people that feel very encouraged to say things that behind the safety of a computer screen that they would never really say in real life. So let me address a couple of things. Let me just first say, I've got notes here, by the way. Social media is a double-edged sword. You've got a lot of good things about it, and you've got a lot of bad things about it. Some of the good things that I find is that there's a ton of support out there. There's a community that just wants to encourage. It feels good when a human being encourages someone. You actually get some joy from that. So I find more often than not that people are super encouraging, and they do want to see you succeed. There's obviously business opportunities out there for sharing on social media. I've turned this into my business, and it's my 9-to-5, and social media is really invaluable when it comes to marketing and sharing, and also connecting on a personal level. This, sharing in arts and crafts is kind of a give and take. If you're only taking from your consumers, I don't think they feel as encouraged to participate in your journey. So I believe that it is a real give and take, and that social media is just a really, really effective tool to give, because I can do it from home. It can be quick. I can upload instantly. I can do it on a variety of platforms. I can share videos. I can share photos. I can share files, stuff like that, and really engage with people, which is something that I've made my mission to do this year, is to engage in a way that inspires people to share their creative voice. So also, very basically, like, Instagram is just an album of memories. It just chronicles your life, right? So you can, that's why I love Social Print Studio, because you can upload straight to, I'm not sponsored, by the way, you can just upload straight to there, and it prints out all your Instagram. You've got like an instant album. So for people like us that like to keep track of our memories and journal and scrapbook and stuff like that, obviously having this digital tool that makes it super easy for us to keep that all in one place, I think that's fun. So those are some of the good things about it. I think another really important thing to note is that it's validating. I know that a lot of people get consumed in numbers and worrying, only 14 people liked this. That doesn't mean it's good. Alternatively, 14 people liked what you were doing, and that's amazing, because I can do something in my home and not show anyone, and to be honest, like, maybe I'm the only one that liked it. So anyone more than yourself liking something is a bonus, and I think it's very validating for us as artists and for people that share, because we put ourselves out there, and it can be so scary to do that, especially in such a vulnerable way like sharing your art. It's a piece of you, it's your subconscious. This illustration that I'm doing right now doesn't really say a lot about my personal growth as a human being. It's not super deep, but it is my hand. It's my handiwork, it's my imagination, and putting it out there for public consumption, you always run the risk of people giving you their unsolicited opinions, and everyone's got an opinion, and believe me, you don't like everyone's, but not everyone likes yours either. So that's why I like people to take my opinion with a grain of salt. It's really not the end of the world. Just realize that everyone does have an opinion, and social media has made it really easy for people to share theirs. So let's just talk about some of the other, on the other end of the double-edged sword, some of the bad things I find about social media. And the first one, obviously, is the unsolicited opinions and criticism. Now, that's inevitable, and the better you do, the more it happens. So I want to encourage you that if you are getting unsolicited opinions, just take them for what they are. If you feel the need to delete every digital trace of that opinion, by all means go and do that. I find it a waste of time. I think a lot of negative opinions say more about the person making those statements than they do about the actual person they're communicating to. So I don't personally delete that stuff. I just delete it from my memory because I don't have time. It's a waste of time to get involved in that junk. But the criticism, there are some people out there that just don't know how to critique constructively. So don't look at every criticism as an abrasive, offensive statement to you or your character. Try and dissect it, and if there is something constructive about that, try and take that. I know it can be a little personal and it can hurt your feelings a little bit, but sometimes there really are people out there with the best of intentions that just don't know how to word that properly. So I encourage you to take constructive criticism, and just, I guess, all the negative stuff, just leave it out of your memory. It's only going to get in your way. Like, there's absolutely nothing to take from negative criticisms unless they're a touch constructive, but you know the difference. Honestly, it's internet trolls. I think it must be a lucrative business because there are a ton out there. Maybe they get paid a lot. I might change careers suddenly and become an internet troll. I think I'd be very good at it. But yeah, so another thing that's a weird thing about social media and sharing is the pressure to maintain your standards. Now, something that a lot of people find is that when you're sharing on social media, people start to recognize your work and people start to expect you to deliver that same work, or at least that same standard or quality. So if you've branded yourself, I'm talking to more business-minded people here, but I guess a lot of hobbyists also find this a bit of a challenge. If you've branded yourself as a watercolorist and all of a sudden you just have a hankering to get some acrylic onto paper, I encourage you just to do it. That is just as much of your creative journey. That's just as much a part of your journey as watercolor is. You know what I mean? You're going to learn new stuff doing acrylic. You may realize that you love acrylic more than watercolor, and that's totally fine. And I've seen people on Instagram with large followings just decide, hey, I've created a profile, it all looks like this is my business and this is my brand and this is my aesthetic, but I need to change that. I'm stunted at this point, I've exhausted it, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to do what I want to do. And I think sharing on social media, keeping accountable to your following can be a little bit tricky, in the sense that you're always viewing your work through their eyes. You're always looking at your work saying, oh, will people think that's me? Or will people like that? Because I don't usually like that. And I need to encourage you just to let that out of your head. I mean, I love styled shoots, I love photography, but typically on my page, on my Instagram, those photos don't do as well as, nearly as well as anything else on my Instagram. But that's not going to stop me from uploading it, because photography is something that I actually love to do, and I love to be inspired by the photos that I take. I like to create my own reference photos. I love to play with, Steve and do photos together, do styled shoots together, and that is just as much a part of my journey as a creative individual as a journal page is. Do you know what I mean? So if you're out there and you're worried that people, are going to leave you because your aesthetic has changed, I don't know how to phrase this any better, but it's kind of not the people you need around anyway. And let me just say this, I mean, this will be a harsh truth for a lot of people to hear. Not everyone has to be loyal to you, and not everyone has to follow you forever. I myself don't follow a lot of people on Instagram. I follow people that are inspiring me for that moment, and then maybe I unfollow some people because maybe I've finished with that. Maybe I've finished with getting what I needed to get. I've learned what I needed to learn, and then I'll move on to something else. It doesn't mean I don't like that person's work. It doesn't mean I don't want to do that ever again. It just means that I'm taking a bit of a different path at this point, and I need to stay inspired and encouraged in a different way. And I totally see that in my own, I don't get offended when people unfollow me. I don't get offended when people have learned something from me and then just left. That's why I put it out there. I can be a stepping stone in your path, or I can be, the sailboat that leads you across the shore, but I don't ever expect anyone to stay forever. I mean, you don't stay in you don't stay in kindergarten forever. Eventually you have to go to grade 1. and then eventually you have to go to grade 2. So it's one of those things that I think if you're teaching, if you're out there and you're on social media and you've put yourself on a platform of teaching and inspiring and gaining a large following, you have to also remember that people are allowed to come and go as they please, and that is a good thing. You don't need to trap them. You don't need to lock them into anything. They don't owe you anything either. Don't look at your following and think you guys owe me anything. They absolutely do not. Remember, they're your support, they're your encouragement, and they just want to see you succeed and want to be along for the ride. I mean, and that's why I'm saying, like, if you need to take a bit of a different step in a different direction, you need to do that. Because if you're feeling uninspired and you're creating work that you don't love, chances are your following is going to see that. They're going to see that you're maybe burning out, that maybe you're creating content that you don't even like. Your voice is going to change when you're talking about it on YouTube. Like, believe me, I've tried to fake before when I didn't like something. All of that's really important to think about. So, sorry, I'm just a little bit post-nasal drip. That's what I wanted to say about the double-edged sword thing. If you haven't even started sharing yet and you think maybe this is something I want to do, please don't let this video put you off. Sharing is it's honestly, it's better to share than not. You've got that gift and you should share it. You should feel obliged to share it. So I wanted to say, if you're feeling worried to share, the post that I read yesterday was so great in that it likened it to, putting your stuff on social media is like putting yourself on stage, and there's always that fear that you're going to freeze. And as someone that made their career putting themselves on stage, I know what that's like to want to show everything that you've done and worked for, and you want to receive all the praise and all the accolades for it. But I'll tell you this, I have fallen on stage more times than I care to remember. I have completely embarrassed myself, falling over, dropping partners, like I've dropped props. And here's the thing, I always thought the audience would laugh at me. And to be honest, they just want you to pick it up and keep going, and they cheer 10 times louder when you do. So for the most part, people just want you to succeed. It's like when you go to an audition, if you don't know what that's like, I was always told that auditions were super, super scary and that the judges just look at you and they're just waiting for you to do something wrong. But it's so not. When you go to an audition, their job is to hire someone for that spot. So the last thing they want to do is see you fail. It actually makes their job easier if you're doing well. So they are rooting for you. For the most part, a lot of people are rooting for you. And if you're doing well, that means they're staying inspired by you, so they're doing well. It's this synergy that you create. So I do liken it to getting up on stage, like that post said. I think it was a great analogy for that. And yeah, I would say, as someone that has been on stage and embarrassed themselves more times than I'm sure you care to know, it's really not the end of the world, to be honest. And if it happens one day, if you get on Instagram and you post something that you thought maybe showed a lot of your flaws or your vulnerabilities, that also connects to people. Steve tells me all the time that, like, I think in acting, he said, that one of the biggest, the easiest ways, not the easiest, but the things that people connect to most when you're acting are your flaws, or your character's flaws. It makes you more relatable. It makes you a human. The thing is, like, I could get a digital program to make my illustrations for me and put them, in a perfect spread. I can put them on Instagram and have the most beautiful aesthetic, but it's not me. I would never put that out there because it's actually not me. So I'm suddenly not sharing the part of myself that I set out to share. And there's nothing wrong with that either. If you do digital art and you want to make your Instagram all perfect, that's totally up to you. But I'm saying, for me, for whatever you do, you have to be honest about it. You have to put out there what you're proud of and what you know is your truth. I'm not going to get too much onto that, but just, don't worry about falling flat on your face, because I've done it and it's fine. If you're struggling with the opinions of others, you cannot please everybody. If you're looking to please everybody, you're going to have a hard time from the get-go. You have to realize that it's just not the way the world works. You can't please everyone. Start first by pleasing yourself, and stop there. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's really the only thing that's going to help you create more, right? I mean, it's obviously, if you've got clients, you have to please clients, but I'm just talking about a regular social media following. You can't please everybody, and it's really not about that. You don't need to put your stuff out there for public consumption and have everybody like it. It's just not going to happen, and that's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's just what it is. if you're worried about everything that you post not being original, or you feel like you haven't found your style yet, you haven't found your voice yet, and you don't want to put something out there that people are going to think you've copied, I also want to say to you, everything is derivative. Everyone has a style, and to be honest, I feel like it's very subjective, because I can tell you what my style is, but you're only going to see my style through your eyes. So you're going to pick up on a post and you'll say, oh, that James did that. But I might look at that and be like, well, it's kind of different to what I'm used to. Do you know what I mean? Like, it really, style is in the eye of the beholder, just like the beauty. So don't worry about posting, 100% original content. We've all copied, we've all used a light box, we've all taken our paper up to the window and traced something. It's how I used to get the most out of my coloring books. So I just want to encourage you that, look, learning is just as much a part of your journey as everything else I've talked about. So share your learning process, share with people what you struggled with, share with them how you overcame that, and I think that's a great way to encourage others to get their creative juices flowing as well. So don't let that put you off either. If you're burning out, or you feel like you're feeling stifled, only share what you need to. Don't believe that you have to share what you think you might. It's a hard thing to try and explain. If you're looking at your work through the eyes of all of your followers, you're going to become a little schizophrenic, because everyone's going to see something different and everyone's going to expect something different. I get a lot of requests all the time to do specific things, and if I really had to do everything I was asked, if I was such a people pleaser, it would actually take me off the track that I'm going, and kind of stunt me for, I would say, a few months at this point, trying to catch up with all the requests that happen. So it's not the end of the world, and it's great. I love when people ask for what they want, and I do endeavor to deliver that a lot of the time. But you need to share what you need to share, especially like if it's just for personal growth and for personal satisfaction. Don't be swayed too much with public opinion. Don't be taken with people's ideas of what you should be doing. A lot of people love to tell you what to do. Unfortunately, when people tell me what to do, it just makes me want to do the opposite. I don't know what it is. It's something about my personality. My mother is exactly the same. But yeah, I think it kind of sums up everything I wanted to say. You've all got a creative voice, and I've seen people start to express it lately. Obviously, I follow people that have been expressing theirs for years, but there's something really, really beautiful about watching someone start to express it, because you see the joy that they find in sharing. You see how validating it is when people jump in and say, you did such a great job. You see them, I'm looking at it through a computer screen and I can tell how elated someone is. So for me, that's exactly what I want to encourage. And you know what? Once those people have started sharing and they start finding their feet and feeling confident and getting through all the crap that sometimes the internet will give you, those are the people that start inspiring new people to do it. There are billions of people in this world, and it is so naive to think that I could reach every single one of them and inspire them to share their creative voice. So I want to teach you guys how to open up yours and how to speak loudly with yours, and I want to teach you how to get other people to do it as well. I'm going to be your shepherd. I'm going to be your shepherd until you can be a shepherd, and then you're going to go out there and do it for everybody as well, because we need to share our creativity. It is just as much a part of us as our physical appearance. It says so much about who we are, and it is really magnetic, and it's such a great thing. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to show you the close-ups. Hope I didn't take too much of your time. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. Bye.